Let's also welcome on board Abhijit Roy from Berger Paints to talk about how their quarterly performance was. Abhijit, hi, good morning. Great to have you on the show. A lot of talking points, but first, let me begin by understanding what really are the demand trends that you're foreseeing. Have things begun to pick up as one is seeing the economy come back on fast track, and add to that, you've got residential sales as well picking up?
Good morning, and yes, the demand seems to be quite robust actually. In April also it was quite good till the pandemic hit us, towards the end of the month. May was down, but June it bounced back, back to normalcy and very strong growth rates. July it continued, in that same way. And August so far has been good. So it seems that, demand is pretty strong, and it probably will remain like this going forward.
Hear that. The other devil in the detail, of course, continues to be the commodity price inflation. Just wanted to understand how is it that you're coping with it, and do you foresee, if at all commodity costs continue to remain escalated, then that could lead into some amount of margin pressure, or would you continue to undertake price hikes?
So the prices had gone up, and you are aware of that. We had taken actually 4 price increases already in stages, more or less neutralizing the entire raw material price increase in the decorative side. In industrial, the negotiations are still going on, so we will hopefully finalize that as well. So a little bit of marginal erosion as far as the gross margin is concerned should be more than made up through other means, in terms of cost savings. So we should be able to retain our margins at these levels.
Okay, hi Abhijit, this is Mubina as well joining in. Since we are speaking on costs, what's the price hikes you have taken so far? Does it cover the increase in input costs that you have seen?
Yes, that's what I said. In the more or less on the water-based side, which is a bulk of our sales, the price hikes that we have taken so far more or less entirely covers the price hike of RMs. So, that way we are protecting our gross margin on that side. On the solvent side, which is primarily enamels, there is still some gap. We have just declared another price increase effective August 19th. So there will be a marginal erosion, as I said, because this is anyway a small segment and a small portion of that is left over. So from that perspective, on the decorative side, we are relatively much more comfortable. On the industrial side, it takes a little bit of time. We have got in many of the accounts already price increases. In some, negotiation is still on.
Now, Abhijit, since you've taken a couple of price hikes in the water-based segment, you probably will, have some more room for in the solvent-based paints. I wanted to know, and again, we're just talking about decorative, not industrial. What's the demand elasticity like? At what point, according to you, based on your experience, do customers then tend to reconsider whether they want to go ahead with repainting? Because at the end, it's obviously a discretionary item.
Yes, it is, but fortunately, the price increases that we take normally, if you look at it in overall basket, it's about 5 to 6%, and then that is also taken in stages. The pass-through is normally seen to be quite normal, it doesn't really affect demand in a very strong way. A person who wants to paint, if it goes up by 1% or 2%, really, he doesn't start changing his decision based on that. Though it is discretionary, sometimes, our indication has been so far that, even in times of very bad periods, whether it is 2008-9, whether it is demonetization, whether it is the pandemic, we have, continued to grow. So it's much more resilient that way compared to other normal discretionary products. So I don't see any problem, in terms of raising the prices or it impacting demand. We have already, as I said, increased prices from May onwards, but July was quite robust that way, and August also continues to be reasonably good.
I'm just trying to understand, very simple in terms of where the new and the old demand is coming from. Good morning, firstly. We forgot to change the pleasantries. There are two types of demand which comes for this paint industry. One is repainting of house, and second is demand coming from fresh construction. Are you getting evidence that the fresh construction demand has come back finally?
Because, yeah, I think there is some amount of surge in the new construction also, which is now started happening of late. We have got some good projects also, which is being now just initiated actually. So this will run through the course of the year, I think. So I think the new construction business, which was a little bit stagnant and actually on a decline whole of last year till 7-8 months, has now picked up momentum. So coupled with the repainting, which is going on, at its usual pace and relatively strong there, this is adding to the overall growth rate.
And what would you describe are the inventory levels in the system? I mean, is there high inventory built up ahead of Ganpati, Diwali, Dashera, or this is like the usual inventory built up which you've done ahead of the festival season?
Normal, usual, in fact, if you look at our end, it is quite thin because, we had these price increases and typically the dealer tend to stock up at this point of time that those range of products on which the prices are going up. So there is a mad scamper for, the products at that point of time. So there is actually a thinning out of inventory at our end. At the dealer end, little bit of stocking would have happened, at every price increase that has happened, but liquidation obviously has been happening because the payment cycle has been pretty strong. So I presume, sales is happening. We don't do the type of tracking that AC Nielsen variety in paint, but it's a fair indication that, when the payment keeps coming and it's not getting stuck. Obviously, the sales has been quite strong on the ground.
The paint industry in India is dominated by 4 players. Soon it will be 6. Two large corporate houses who have always shied away from entering into the paint industry are now testing waters. Management will, like you will always say, we welcome more competition, but more competition means more challenge in terms of market share and also more challenge in terms of disruptive pricing.
Yes, this has been, in fact, one of them has been there for the last 2-3 years. One is scheduled to enter. Competition is always there, you can't avoid it, because there will be internally there are already players, in the industry which are incumbent players. Many of them are world giants actually, and we have, also competition coming in from the conglomerates. We have faced this in the past. We believe that we have our own strengths. We have a network, we have our painters, we have the brand, which takes time to build. So it's not as if, brand building happens on a day or a, month. It takes a long time in these type of categories. Worldwide, it has been this phenomenon. If you look at, for example, Bangladesh, Berger Bangladesh is leader 4 times the size of Asian Paints there. And we remain, at those levels, elevated levels, for last 10-12 years, and every trick in the book has been used, but nothing has changed much in that market. So it's not that, it's very easy to break into these type of markets. It's relatively much more, robustly stagnant, I would say, in terms of market share. So it doesn't change that much in a short period of time. So we are not unduly worried. As you rightly said, it does give us, more impetus to become far more competitive, become much more efficient possibly on our own.
All right. Abhijit, what's your sales mix looking like? The last few quarters, we've seen all paint companies, seeing a lot more demand for solution-oriented products, waterproofing products. You've managed to really create a good basket of those products. What's the sales mix like, and also what's the margin contribution from the waterproofing and the solution-oriented businesses versus your decorative paints?
So yes, waterproofing has been growing at a fast pace. It's at a nascent stage in our country, and the growth opportunities are quite large, I think. And therefore, this category is continue to grow in the future as well. This is our belief, and therefore we are investing in that. This particular category, in terms of margin, is quite similar to that of paint as of now. A large part of that category in which we are present now is very akin to paint, and therefore the margins are quite similar. There are a few other categories like the admixtures, which is one of the big segment in waterproofing. Those are lesser in terms of possible EBITDA levels, but marginally so. So therefore it won't be a problem that way. In terms of solution service providing, we have this express painting. Those are margin accretive, and it helps us to also sell a lot of good quality products, because you have an opportunity to interact with consumers, convince them about the better quality products, and then sell it to them. So from that perspective, it always helps if you are doing solution selling to consumers.
Really appreciate you joining us this morning. Thank you so much once again. Always a pleasure talking to you.